Who called it in?
A rummy in a room down the hall. Said he heard shouting and a gunshot.
Any witnesses?
Just one, sir. Gave us a description of a man entering the rooming house shortly before the shooting. Poor bastard. Ah, Constable. Sir, here's the gun we found. I've never seen anything like it on the streets.
It's a military revolver. British Army.
So how does it end up at Cabbagetown?
I know this gun. And I know the man who fits this witness's description.
Thomas. Thomas, wake up. I think someone's in the house. Wake up.
Oh, Leon, what's going on? Get that torch out of my eyes.
Thomas Brackenreida, get up.
You better have a damn good reason for dragging me out of my bed in the middle of the night.
You're under arrest.
For what?
Murder.
What are you talking about?
Put the cuffs on him, Constable.
Really?
Now.
What? What? Where are you taking my husband, Thomas? What's happening?
Margaret, call Murdoch.
Oh, let go of me!
How are you faring, sir?
I was yanked out of bed, arrested, and paraded in front of my neighbours in my night clothes. How do you think I'm faring? Thank you for grabbing my clothes from Margaret.
What on earth did Inspector Decker say to you when he arrested you?
That I was under arrest for the murder of a man in a rooming house.
And you don't know this man?
Absolutely not.
And you were never at this rooming house?
I was asleep. Ask Margaret.
Apparently, your revolver was found near the scene of the crime.
The one I used in Afghanistan?
I suppose.
If I was going to shoot someone, I wouldn't use that manky old thing. It jammed more than it ever discharged.
Nevertheless, the fact that it was found near the scene of a murder is concerning.
How do they know it's mine? I'm not the only ex-army man wandering around Toronto.
Your finger marks are on it.
Well, of course they are, if it's mine. Someone took it then.
Where did you keep it?
In my study. In a display case on the wall. Somebody took it and placed it at the scene.
Possibly. But there is also an eyewitness who claims they saw you walk into the rooming house shortly before the man was shot.
Witness? What are you saying?
Only that these are the reasons I was given for your arrest.
I'm being set up. You've got to get me out of this, Murdoch.
We're wasting your time, Detective. We have your inspector dead to rights for this case.
If I could just review the evidence you've collected thus far.
Nope. This incident didn't occur in your jurisdiction. This is a Station House 1 case.
Well, surely you can make an exception, especially given who's accused.
No.
No.
You're biased, Detective. You wouldn't be able to see Brackenreida's guilt if it was staring you in the face. Good day.
Julia, what are you doing here? Susanna all right?
She's fine. I just heard about Thomas. Margaret's beside herself.
Can't say I blame her.
Well, clearly he's not guilty.
I shouldn't think so. I suspect that the evidence against him has been orchestrated.
Who's investigating?
Inspector Decker at Station House 1. And unfortunately, he seems to believe that it's an open and shut case.
Do they have motive?
No. The inspector didn't even know the victim. Henry.
Yes, sir.
I need you to look into this man that the inspector allegedly killed. His name was Jameson Hawley.
What do you want to know?
Everything. Who was he? Where did he come from? Did he have a criminal record? No stone unturned. Do you understand? The inspector's life may depend on it.
Absolutely, sir.
Detective, to what do I owe the pleasure?
If you've completed your post-mortem on Jameson Hawley, I'd like to have a look at your findings.
Station House 1 brought him in.
Yes. There is evidence that suggests the actions of Inspector Brackenreida may have landed Mr. Hawley here.
I find that hard to believe.
As do I. But Station House 1 seems to be convinced that he murdered this man. I intend to prove he didn't.
Anything I can do to help?
No defensive wounds?
None. No trauma to the body, save for the gunshot wound to the head. Close range.
And the bullet?
Unusual. I've never seen one like it before.
Round-nosed lead bullet.
What does it mean?
Bullets nowadays have a copper jacket, which results in a higher melting point.
And?
A fully lead bullet is the type used in the inspector's gun. Did you happen to notice a large quantity of gunpowder in and around the wound?
Yes, more than usual for a gunshot victim.
Also consistent with an older weapon, such as the inspector's. I'm afraid your findings only strengthen Station House 1's case. Henry, could you stand here, please?
Sir?
I have a theory. The victim was found lying face down on the bed with his head here, meaning he had to have fallen forward from a standing position roughly here. So, if the killer entered through the door here, he would have had to walk all the way round to here to position himself behind Mr. Hawley, shoot him at close range, and thus he would have landed here.
Meaning?
Why not simply enter, shoot him face on at close range here?
Perhaps he never came through the door at all.
Exactly. The killer could have come in through the open window, positioned himself behind Mr. Hawley, shot him, and then retreated back down the fire escape, discarding the gun as he went somewhere nearby so that police constables could find it easily.
So the witness that saw the killer in the hall was lying, sir?
Perhaps he simply posed as a tenant in order to lead police astray.
Paid off by the real killer.
And whoever it was may have left finger marks on the windowsill, either on his way in or his way out.
I'm telling you, he was with me when that man was shot, not at some rooming house.
I assume this is where the gun is always kept?
Yes. It's an old war relic he keeps for some sentimental reason. I don't know when it could have been taken. I hardly ever come in here. Thomas is always telling me to lock the doors, but I often forget. It's all my fault.
I don't know anyone who locks their doors, Mrs. Brackenreida. Whatever is going on here is not your fault.
I highly doubt the perpetrator would have been deterred by a locked door. It seems whoever is behind this is very motivated to put the inspector behind bars.
You'll get him out, won't you, William?
I'll certainly do my best.
Is it good news?
It confirms what we believed might be the case. Finger marks from the theft of the gun matched those from the window ledge.
And they're not the inspectors?
No.
So he was never there. He's innocent.
Finger marks obviously belong to someone else. What are the odds that someone other than the inspector would be both at the scene of the crime and in the inspector's study where his gun was kept?
Clearly they belong to the killer.
I'll have Henry attempt to find a match in our files.
So who would set Thomas up like this? And why murder this particular individual?
Sir, everything I can find on Jameson Hawley.
Anything of interest?
It seems Hawley committed crimes in just about every jurisdiction of the city over the last 20 years.
Even in ours?
Yes, years ago. He was arrested by Inspector Brackenreida.
I remember him now.
Odd that you would forget.
I don't remember every arrest I ever made, Murdoch. It was 20 years ago.
Well, our file is scant at best. What do you remember?
He was a lousy excuse for a human being. He started off by nicking pay packets off men at the pub too drunk to notice.
He was a thief.
Yeah. But once inside, he fell in with the right gang of lowlifes. It's funny. I've not thought about that bunch of scumbags in years. Not since this past winter.
What happened this past winter?
Do you remember that? Where you know me from?
I'm afraid no.
Last name's Majors, Maurice Majors.
One of them came back.
Sir?
I know who it is. I know who's behind this setup.
Who?
A dead man.
Now that the salon is yours, what are you going to do with it?
I don't surely know.
You don't know? Well, you wanted it awfully badly.
I haven't decided what I'll do with it yet. Might redecorate it, might just sell it. But I've got a lot going on just now.
The salon needs to stay open to make money.
I don't need to worry about money now, do I?
I suppose not. Biscuit?
Thank you.
Maurice Majors had an axe to grind with me. I had several run-ins with him before he turned up dead.
You never told me about any of this.
You had your hands full with Frank Rhodes at the time, not to mention Susanna's christening. Besides, I thought it was finished. The man was dead.
Apparently not. Right, what was the nature of your conflict?
He was trying to blackmail me.
For what?
I was partly responsible for one of his friends being hanged. A man by the name of Walter Milton.
How so?
I made the case against him. He murdered 2 young women. I'd say hanging was too good for him.
So he was seeking vengeance because you did your duty as a police officer?
Not exactly. Like I said, he killed the 2 women, but I couldn't prove it.
Go on.
I had to lock him up. I just knew he would kill again.
You set him up?
Someone else turned up dead. An associate of Milton's. I thought he'd done it first, I really did. But Majors was able to provide Milton with an alibi. I chose to ignore him. Milton went to the noose.
Sir.
You weren't there, Murdoch. These things are not always black and white.
In this case, I believe they are. A man went to the noose for a murder he didn't commit?
And he should have been hanged for a murder that he did commit. What does it matter how he got there? He was guilty and he was going to get away with it.
That is not how the law works. Or justice, for that matter, and you know it.
Sometimes you have to bend the truth to get the results that are needed. You yourself have done the same.
I have done nothing like this.
Leaving the door open for Constance Gardner to waltz out of prison? And how about Percy Giles? Not only did you allow him to escape capture, but you handed him your gun as he ran.
Giles and Miss Gardner were guilty in the eyes of the law, but in their case, the law was wrong.
You went against the law.
I let them go free. I didn't send them to their deaths.
He was guilty, Murdoch, in the eyes of God.
Well, then you should have let God punish him.
Anyway, it's all done now. Are you going to help me clear my name or not? Murdoch! Murdoch!
What do you want him to do?
I want him to admit he was wrong.
And?
Julia, he should turn in his badge and resign.
William, that's not for you to say or to ask of him.
The inspector is meant to represent the best of us.
Deep down, I'm sure he knows that what he did is wrong, even if he won't admit it to you.
No, I don't believe he does.
Well, Thomas made a decision that he'll have to live with for the rest of his life. That is his cross to bear, not yours.
And what do I do now? Now that I know what I know.
You know precisely what you will do, William. You have no choice. You'll exonerate him because he's innocent.
I have nothing more to say to you, Detective Murdoch.
If I could just please have a moment of your time, I have some very important information regarding Inspector Brackenreid's case.
What is it?
Finger marks that prove that someone else was involved.
Finger marks. From where?
From outside the victim's windowsill.
But these could belong to any number of tenants staying at the flophouse.
True. But the finger marks that I obtained at the victim's windowsill happened to match another set that was found at Brackenreid's study where he kept his gun.
Are you certain?
Yes.
We have a witness who says he saw Thomas Brackenreid enter the rooming house. It's a fellow tenant.
Yes. Who is this tenant?
It's here, Earl Jansen.
My constables have been searching for this Earl Jansen. No one matching his description has been staying there.
So you're saying that this man was told to say he saw Thomas Brackenreid in the rooming house?
Or was probably paid to do so, yes.
Then who do these belong to? Well, I sense you have an idea, seeing as you're still here. It says this man is deceased.
He was. These finger marks were taken from the corpse of one Maurice Majors.
And the corpse came back to life.
We believe he faked his death, likely with the help of the city coroner. We also believe he's responsible for the murder of 2 men in a Toronto cemetery some months ago.
This story is mad. Why should I believe you?
Because this evidence proves it's true. And you know it.
Why would anyone go to such lengths to frame a police inspector for murder?
I suppose you'll have to ask him that.
I will order Inspector Brackenreid released.
Thank you, Inspector.
You don't think it was a little bit dangerous to bury him here?
Nobody will think to look for dear Arthur so close to home.
What am I meant to say about his absence?
He's a man away on business. Let's say Baltimore. It'll help to explain the large cash withdrawal from the account. Can't travel without funds.
How much do you want this time?
All of it. It's time to get out of this backwater town.
Where are you going?
Oh, we are going wherever the wind blows.
We?
Of course. There's nothing keeping you here. And we make such a good team.
I have a job, responsibilities. What am I to tell the constabulary, the inspector, about leaving town?
Oh, don't concern yourself about what Inspector Brackenreid thinks. You'll be the least of his worries.
What does that mean?
It means he's been taken care of, darling.
What have you done? It was you. You killed that man and made it look like the inspector did it. Why?
We have history. Nothing stays hidden forever, Violet. I had to help right or wrong, put my thumb on the scales, if you will.
Well, it didn't work. He's no longer in jail.
Come again?
I saw him walk into Station House 4 not 2 hours ago. It seems a detective has found evidence and released him this afternoon.
Arthur always did look good in pink.
Oh, it's like the air smells better after being in that damp, dank cell, Murdoch. Thank you for that, by the way.
Just doing my job.
Right then. Enough of this fannying about. Where to next?
Well, now that we know Maurice Majors is alive, I believe the first conversation should be with Mrs. Hart.
I'll come with you.
I don't need you there, Inspector.
I've had a murder charge hanging over me like the bloody sword of Damocles. I'm partly responsible for this mess. I plan on making it right.
Search every room, every closet, and be thorough.
Detective, what do you think you're doing?
Where is he?
Who?
Don't waste my time, Mrs. Hart.
We're looking for Maurice Majors.
My father is dead.
Drop the act. We know he's alive.
And he set me up to hang for a murder I didn't commit.
I'm the one who performed the post-mortem. There was definitely a dead man on my slab.
Your father is a low-life scoundrel. He may have pulled the wool over your eyes as well.
She's the coroner, sir. She is the one who pronounced him dead.
He was.
He was not. And you know it.
All I know is when I examined him, he had no pulse. I put him in the coffin myself. I cannot speak for what happened after I shipped the body to New York.
You are a very good actress, Mrs. Hart. But right now we need to find your father. This isn't over.
Inspector, may I say how pleased I was to hear that you've been released from jail?
Not as pleased as I am to be free, Mrs. Hart. Have a good evening, Detective.
You as well, sir.
Just having a wee dram of liquid courage before heading home to face the missus. Happy to see you back at work, Inspector. Oh, really, Murdoch? That's very kind of you to say. Nothing yet, Higgins?
We've got officers searching, sir. As soon as he shows his face, we've got him.
You and the boys are doing a good job.
Thank you, sir.
I'm gonna nip down here for a quick shufty before heading home. Checking out this area next? Keep up the good work, lads.
Ah, good. Glad I didn't give you too much.
Excuse me. Have you seen the inspector? Inspector Brackenreida. Have you seen him? Seen him? No?
Mrs. Brackenreida.
Is Thomas here?
No, I don't believe he's come in yet today.
He didn't come home last night. Do you know where he is?
I left him here shortly before midnight last night.
And then where did he go?
I believe he went looking for the man who set him up. He didn't come home at all.
No. Something's wrong. Something's wrong, isn't it? Something's happened to him.
It's all right. I promise you we will find him. Everyone, drop what you're doing and listen. The inspector has gone missing. I want every man out on the street looking for him now. Let's move out.
Detective.
Where is he?
Who?
You know who. The inspector.
Well, I haven't seen him since you and your constables tore up my home yesterday.
Mrs. Hart, if you don't start giving me answers, I will arrest you and drag you down to our cells myself.
On what charges?
Withholding evidence, fabricating a death certificate, abetting a kidnapping, harboring a murderer.
I am innocent of everything you're accusing me of.
How can you stand there and claim...
I wasn't the only one who saw his body. We were all duped.
You have been in on this the entire time, working with your father.
I haven't.
Justice will come for you, Mrs. Hart.
Detective Murdoch. Whatever it is you think of me, please believe me when I say I have no idea where Inspector Brackenreida is right now. He has stood by me many times, and I do not wish him harm.
Then tell me. Tell me!
I was just saying, you look good for a dead man.
Oh, resurrection does wonders for the soul. I've never felt so free.
Tell that to the poor fellas that you choked to death out of the graveyard.
Nobody said coming back to life wouldn't be messy.
Your plan to have me hanged didn't quite work out, did it? You killed your pal for nothing.
Well, by your logic, I did the world a favor, taking a criminal off the streets permanently. Or is it only wrong when I do it?
What do you want with me?
Oh, same thing I asked you for last time. Retribution, recompense, and... well, let's forget the apology. That's never going to happen.
So kidnapping me is your idea of retribution?
Oh, this is nothing. I have a lot more planned for you.
He was here, sir. He talked with me and some officers for a minute or two, and then he walked off.
In what direction?
Over there, near the alley. I lost sight of him after that.
All right, follow me.
It's just a rag, sir.
Smell it.
Chloroform, sir?
The inspector could have been coming down this alley and been ambushed and subdued using chloroform.
By whom?
Maurice Majors.
Sir, this area was crawling with constables. We would have seen them.
Yes, but Majors could have known to use a disguise as a pauper or a vendor or a ragman, someone who could pass by unnoticed.
I did see a ragman wandering around here. And it was just before the inspector and I parted ways.
You're not going to kill me.
No?
If you'd wanted me dead, you'd have done it by now.
For a copper, you're pretty sharp. You're right. No, I don't want you dead. What I want from you is a written confession.
You what?
Put it in writing. Everything you did to send an innocent man to his death. And then I'll set you free.
Bollocks. You'll probably kill me before my confession hits the press.
No, I won't. I'm a man of my word.
As am I. I won't be signing anything.
A man is dead because of you.
And several men are dead because of you. Where's your confession?
Oh, I'm not holding myself up as a paragon of law and order. I know who I am.
Killer and a criminal.
Oh, don't fool yourself, Tommy. We are two sides of the same coin.
Now I know you're losing your mind.
Have I? Let's be honest with one another. How many men have you killed between your time in the army and your job as a copper?
That's not the same thing.
Oh, don't tell me you didn't get a tiny thrill every time you pull the trigger or sent a man to the noose.
You're a monster.
If I'm a monster, then so are you. The only difference between us is that badge that gives you permission to kill. You are no less a sinner than me.
I did what I did to take a murderer off the streets. Now, if that makes me a sinner, I'll see you in hell.
I'm not going to ask you again. Right. Your confession.
Definitely large enough to transport a body.
You think he's dead?
Chloroform isn't generally used to murder.
So where was he taking him then?
Well, the inspector was last seen several blocks in that direction. Perhaps the kidnapper was taking him in this direction.
Go on then. Pull the trigger.
Write that confession and ruin your name. Then I'll decide what I want to do.
Why now? You've had 20 years to come looking for me.
No, I'd like to say vengeance is best served cold or something similarly poetic. But no. I saw you in the morgue with my daughter. And remember, the score not yet settled.
I can't tell the constabulary. And even if I did confess, as you put it, it was 20 years ago.
You're not going to write that confession, are you?
Where did you get that? It's Margaret's.
Before I kill her, I'm gonna say, when given the choice to confess or die, her husband's stubborn Yorkshire pride got the best of him.
You're not gonna get away with this, man. Just... Mrs. Hart, Violet. Thank God.
Here's the money, Father. Ready to go? Our train leaves soon.
Just one loose end to tie up.
Forget him. We have to go.
What goes around comes around. Right, Inspector?
Kill me, and every copper in this country will be out there looking for you. Run all you want, but you're gonna wish you'd stayed dead, friend.
I am not your friend.
But you wouldn't just push him most of the way and then start carrying him.
Fair point, Henry. Presumably, he took the inspector to where he wanted him, then discarded the cart as a diversion.
Well, then they could have gone in any direction.
Right. We need more constables to help us search this area. Let's head back. No, wait.
What earth? Sir, that's the inspector's flask. He must have dropped it.
Or he left it here for us to find, which would suggest he was taken in this direction.
Towards Queen Street.
Henry, where's the nearest call box?
There's one right around the corner, sir.
Let's call in reinforcements. I believe I know where the inspector is.
I don't see how killing me at this point will solve anything.
He's right. You have everything you want. Money, safe passage out of here, and I'm coming with you.
Listen to your daughter.
Shooting him will only make us hunted fugitives. Is that what you really want for our lives? Always looking over our shoulders?
I don't care. This is what I need to do.
Morris, I was wrong.
What?
I was wrong to do what I did. You were right. I wanted vengeance, not justice. I disgraced the badge that I wear because I wanted to see Walter Milton hanged.
So can we go now?
I don't believe you.
Give me the paper and I'll sign a confession.
Too late. What are you doing?
I can't let you do this.
Move out of the way, Violet.
You would really shoot your daughter, would you?
You think the inspector's in there, sir?
I hear voices.
What do we do?
He could be armed. We should wait for other constables to arrive.
Are you sure?
No.
Move.
This is not your fight, Mrs. Hart.
He won't hurt me. You were right to tell me to give my father a second chance.
Just like I gave you one.
Sir.
I'm fine.
Mrs. Hart.
Forget about me, Higgins.
Oh, Henry, I think you'd best get an ambulance. Straight away. It's all right. I need you to calm down. Calm down. Everything will be all right. It's all right.
So no sign of Morris Majors?
Nothing.
That doesn't change what I need to do.
Are you quite sure about this?
Don't try and talk me out of it. You're a good detective, Murdoch. The best I've ever worked with. Thought I was a gunner for sure.
We all worked hard to find you. But if you hadn't left your flask near that salon, I don't know that I would have looked for you there.
What are you talking about? I left it here at the station.
What?
I drained it and left it at my desk. Any word on Mrs. Hart?
I'm headed to the hospital now to look in on her.
How could a man be capable of shooting his own daughter?
In my experience, there isn't much that man isn't capable of.
Detective.
Mrs. Hart, how are you feeling?
Never felt as much pain in my life, even with the morphine.
The surgeon says you nearly died from loss of blood. You dropped the inspector's flask as a clue for me to find, didn't you? Thank you. It was very brave of you to step in front of your father's gun in order to save the inspector.
He would have done the same for me. It's the kind of man he is.
Of course. Mrs. Hart, where is your father?
I don't know.
The inspector told me that the two of you were to board a train together.
I wasn't going anywhere with him.
Given all that's happened, you'll have to forgive me if I ask, why should I believe you?
He's been terrorizing me since he's been in town.
Terrorizing you how?
He's threatened both of our lives. He's drained us of our money. He even took the salon. Arthur knew he wouldn't stop. He tried to kill him. My father got the upper hand. And
what happened?
He killed Arthur. And he used the knife that had my finger marks on it. And he said if I said anything, he would frame me for it.
And where is Mr. Carmichael's body now?
In the garden. Buried under the hydrangeas.
Why didn't you come to me?
To have you think that I did it. You're not on my side, detective. You never have been. I needed to protect myself.
By going along with his plan?
Yes. He wanted me to leave with him. And I acted like I wanted to go. To buy time. To save the inspector.
And he still shot you?
He shot me.
I'm very sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
I won't take any more of your time.
Is this true?
Every last word.
Why now?
Because it's time. I'm no better than the ones I lock up if I knowingly send the wrong man to the gallows.
You were doing your job.
But, sir...
Walter Milton was a murderer.
Yes.
You did your job and took a dangerous man off the streets.
I've never felt good about it.
And you shouldn't. You broke the law. And that's a circle that's hard
to square Thomas. But the Toronto Constabulary doesn't need to dredge up this kind of old news to give it a black eye. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Good day.
Good day. They wouldn't accept it.
I see. Well, it was the right thing for you to write it.
How about you? Do you accept it?
We've all done things that we aren't proud of. Myself included.
Have a seat, Murdoch. Do you think Mrs. Hart knows the whereabouts of her father?
She says she doesn't know where he's gone. That she did harbor him, but that it was under threat of death.
And Arthur Carmichael, is he really dead?
Found buried in the garden as she described. And he had been stabbed.
Crikey. What that young girl's gone through.
Likely more than she'll ever divulge, I suspect.
And it seems like she didn't have anything to do with my kidnapping either.
Either she's telling the truth and her father orchestrated all of it, or she's lying about everything. But absent any further evidence, I'm inclined to believe her.
She saved my life, Murdoch. That's a hell of a thing.
And the search for Maurice Majors?
Wanted posters are up across the country. But mark my words, he'll turn up like a bad penny one day.
Sir, he murdered Arthur Carmichael. He thinks he may have murdered his own daughter. He tried to kill you. I doubt he'll be too eager to return here.
Good riddance. For Mrs. Hart's sake, at least. I want her to keep a job, Murdoch. She's a good coroner.
Well, if she is hiding something, I suppose we'll have to let her conscience be her guide.
There's a lot of that going around.